Today I'm talking to Katie Machoskie of Compass in Newport Beach and all of Orange County. Katie has been recognized as one of the top 1,000 real estate agents in the nation. She consistently ranks in the top 1% of Newport Beach agents and was named Real Trends America's Best Real Estate Agents in 2017 and 2018. She says the reason for her success is applying active listening, from helping her clients to building a team. Today, we talk about how she does it. Welcome to the Jere Metcalf Podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. I created this podcast because over the years that I've been an agent, from struggling to successful, I found that the one thing, the one foundation that created the mindset, knowledge, and ability to break through to new levels was the camaraderie and sharing of ideas from other generous and successful agents. Those experiences catapulted my career. They gave me the inspiration and idea to further develop those friendships and share what they have had to share with me to make not only more successful careers for each of us, but a stronger community and better respect for our profession at large. All right, everybody, it's the Jere Metcalf Podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. And today we are so excited because we have Katie Machoskie on the show from Orange County, Newport Beach, here to tell us about how she has become so incredibly successful in all of her successes. Katie, thank you for being on the show.
Hi, Jere. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Well, awesome to have you. Tell us, let's get started, because you've got a lot of fun history that kind of led you down this path of being a real estate agent. The first thing I would say is, what happened? As in, how and why did you become a real estate agent?
Well, it's kind of a funny path, and I always say, your path, I tell my new agents, your path prepares you in ways that you'll never expect. But I went to UCLA. I've always worked since I was 13 years old. I actually interned with at the time they were Goodson Todman Productions and game shows, which was hilarious and fun. And I morphed into being an entertainment publicist. And from there, I thought I wanted to get into sports marketing. And somehow that slid me into, I worked in PR and I worked for Fortune 500 companies doing packaging and design PR, and then PR for an agency. And all of that, I was an English lit major. I loved to write. But the PR side and the publicist side really helped me be very aware of the importance of public relations and interactions in the media. But then that slid me into nonprofit work. And I was a nonprofit executive for 16 years. I ran big national programs and local programs, and was an executive director for a multitude of different nonprofits. I loved it. It was a labor of love. I truly loved it. And I taught at university. I did everything I wanted to do and absolutely burned out. And it was time to leave. And I really just kind of left and consulted for nonprofits. And I truly loved what I did. But it wasn't, at one point my husband looked at me, and we've been married 28 years. And I think we don't keep count, secret of our success. But he looked at me and said, you are an amazing salesperson. You can sell anything. You sell hope. And I just was so offended by that. And I said, what I do is so much more noble, cure for diabetes, ending child abuse, helping people with disabilities. That's so much more noble than sales.
Yeah.
And one night we had 6 neighbors over, and all 5 of those women were getting licensed and starting their first class the next day. And over some margaritas, my husband said, you've always wanted to be licensed. Go with them. Go get your license. So on a whim, I went and got
over margaritas. The tequila is what did it. That makes sense now.
It's probably the margarita's fault.
Wow.
And what's funny is I ultimately became the only one that was working to work a little bit part-time now, but ultimately then it was dinner with a very, very top agent who's a very good friend, and she didn't even know I was licensed. But it was 2003. The market was white hot, and over dinner, she said, well, why don't you join Strata? Was the boutique at the time. It was just the place to be, extremely difficult, invitation only to get in. And I thought, if I'm going to do it, there's only one place I want to be. And so I started with Strata, which was purchased by Coldwell Banker after 3 attempts. And literally I sold my first house 3 days after I joined.
Oh my goodness.
And that's a funny story in itself, that it was my husband saved a woman in a road rage incident. And the woman called me and said, "Your husband's amazing. Thank you so much. I don't know if you really did for me today," but told me the story.
Yeah.
And then said, "I heard you just got licensed and you're at Strata. I'd consider selling my house." 4 days later, I had 3 multiple offers, 75 people through the house, and I sold my first house. I had no idea what I was doing.
Wow. But you pulled it off. That's like I would call it hazing, except being successful. I mean, that was not that bad, but that fast. That is amazing. So a quick question for you. So getting, we have agents listening to the show who are well on their way, have huge teams, usually successful. And then we have agents on our show, listening to our show, that are newer in the business. But either way, I would ask you, what do you think it was? I mean, we would all make assumptions about what it was, but what do you think it was that got you the invitation to an exclusive company? It's a new agent that maybe definitely not everybody's getting invitations to.
And that's a great question, and it's all about. My mom used to say, and you'll know this about me, I have a lot of adages and mantras. But
good, we love those.
She said to me was, "You never know who's watching," and she said it to me when I was a little girl. And I'm going to get a little misty. Sorry, but we just lost her in November.
Oh, yeah.
But it's something that I really have always held close to my heart, that you need to behave in a manner that is gracious, that is polite, that is kind, that is helpful. Yeah. And so the woman who invited me into Strata was the daughter of a very, very significant philanthropic, very generous family. And she herself is an amazing human being. And Stephanie Ardros, I hope you're listening. You're amazing.
I love it. Shout out to Stephanie.
He was a good friend. The husbands were friends. She's not married to him anymore, but he's a wonderful man, and she's terrific. And over dinner, we started talking. We knew each other from a nonprofit life. And that's what started it, because she had seen me in a different role, but knew what I could do, and said, "Why aren't you selling real estate if your license comes?"
Wow. And you hear a lot of those stories where you've got a company that may not be easy to get into and you're a new agent, but the owner or the broker at that company sees that talent and grabs it because they know the history. That's a great story. So I love what you said about you never know who's watching. It reminds me of Burma Weller is an agent in Atlanta, and this was like 10 years ago. I was at a sales meeting with my former company with her, and she said, "You don't know it, but you are always, if you're having a conversation with someone, they are interviewing you. You are always being interviewed. It's not, by the time you get to the quote listing presentation, that better be a consultation. Mm-hmm. You're always being interviewed." I love that. So what do you think, and you've answered a little bit of it already, but so you got into business, you were in PR. Well, one question first. So you're in PR, you've got all this creativity, business experience, great connections, great human being, good, core spiritually and mentally in business, all of that good stuff. But you meet the right people, you get in the right company. But before all that happened, at what moment, because you're having a margarita and you're getting your license, that's cute, right? And you hear that from a lot of people, and most people, it turns into, like 99% of people or better, it turns into nothing.
Yeah, so, none of those people.
Right, and they even get their license. So at what point, you get your license, but at what point did you know? It was once you got into Strata? Was it before? Like, at what point did you know, like, this is it, I'm doing this, like, really, like, this isn't an experiment?
Oh, I am a chips in the middle of the table girl all day long. So I'm always all in. I'm extremely competitive.
That all makes sense, right?
Yeah. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all in. So that's just who I am. It drives me crazy not to understand when people don't commit. So
is it when you started school, or was it when you passed the test, or was it when you, was it over margaritas?
It was dinner with Steph. It was,
it. Okay.
I'm going to do this with the best firm. And I'm all in. It's a go. So as soon as I was able to, start with them, and I discovered how much I loved it. I wasn't
Wow.
ready for the roller coaster ride that it is, and I think a lot of agents aren't ready.
Yeah.
But hard work doesn't scare me, and I am 7 days a week, and I carve out time for my family, and family is always first. But it's just who I am, and I love to work. It's fun to me. And when I discovered how much I love the work of real estate, it was a perfect match. It really was very similar to fundraising, because you have to kind of create something out of nothing. You have to prospect. You're doing everything just for a different reason, for a different cause.
Exactly.
And now we're creating value for the transaction is really, I always say it's not a transaction, it's transformational. And that was a big mantra that I used in fundraising, that there's a transformative process that happens when someone buys a home, whether it's the first home, or you're downsizing, or you're moving closer to the grandchildren, or you're having your first home as a new married couple, whatever it is, your first baby, you need another room. You're getting a dog, you need a yard.
It's not, and I think as an agent, it's important. Sometimes it's funny, like you said, it's not a transaction, it's a transformation. The more we realize as real estate agents that what we're doing, while it's important to be organized and know the facts and be competent, if you don't recognize the heart of what we represent and what we're doing for people, and that it's not just a deal, but it's representing people. A lot of my clients and your clients, their home is not their most expensive thing they'll ever buy. It's not their most financially valuable asset, but it is their most spiritually the biggest, strongest, most important foundation of their whole world. It's where they wake up every day. It's where they make memories. And back to this quote, it's not a transaction, it's a transformation. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think is because you clearly have a lot of them, from PR and marketing and hard work and perseverance and former success and connections, and I had another one that I just picked up on that you have. But what do you think, in heart in the business, but what do you think gives you, because we are in a competitive industry, what do you think it is that gives you truly, has you stand out from the rest, gives you that competitive edge, makes you the agent that your clients have to hire above all others?
When you were talking, the first word that came to mind was intuition. And I think my intuition comes from actively listening. And there's a intangible. There's something about intuition that you just have a feeling, what's going to be a good fit for someone, that maybe you can. I think it comes with the communication style also, that you have to actively listen and you have to really communicate and hear them, and then bring to them. You have to be resourceful. There's no one answer, but you have to say, okay, I hear that you need, this gentleman that I showed property with today, he thinks he needs a 5,000 square foot home. He can't afford a 5,000 square foot home, but what he really needs is a yard for his dog to make his kids happy, because he promised they'd get a dog. And it's something that simple, but saying at the end of the day, you want to be in this neighborhood and you need a yard with a dog, and here's the price point. This is going to solve the problem. And the bedrooms are way too small. No, they're not, because your kids are going to be in the backyard with the dog. And Did I show you the jacuzzi? Because that's kind of great too. So, and that's a running joke in our neighborhood. We live in a really great neighborhood with extensive amenities. It's just fun, and it's gated. So we always tease would tell the kids stay in the bubble. But they can run free in the neighborhood and go play croquet and basketball and volleyball and do all that, and play in the froggy pond and slide down the slide. Yeah. But they're safe, and yet they have this experience. And the joke is, they're not in the bedroom that you think is not, a 20 by 20 bedroom. They're out front with their friends. They're playing. And
that's what's important, is that experience.
Helping them see the living yield that they get, the intangible that they get out of that purchase.
Yeah. Well, it makes me think of lifestyle. When people are buying a home, it's understanding they're not just buying a house, they're buying a lifestyle. So, it's buying a lifestyle kind of sounds, the importance of the home purchase is the lifestyle that it provides. So tell us a little bit about this active listening. Like, I love that, because I think a lot of people think they know what listening is, because they're hearing words come out and resuscitate, like, yeah, that's what they said. And then they have their own opinions and whatever. But tell us what your definition and how, kind of like some stories, experiences on how you've come through to be this active listener. And maybe a lot of it's natural and intuitive, but I bet you there's a story along the way. Good or bad?
A lot of training with in fundraising, finding questions, what matters, what's the hot button, what tugs at the emotion, what do they need, and just talking. So active listening means if you're telling me all the things that you need, well, we need 5 bedrooms and we need a dining room because we entertain all the time for my business, and I promised the kids we'd get a dog, but I don't really care about pools. I'm kind of nervous about blah, 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 blah. Wait a second. Did you say you want to get your kids a dog? Yeah. Now maybe there's something, there's something else going on there. My story is, we were digging the pool, and P.S. I didn't need the pool. My sweet Molly, who's now just turned 12, was about to be born. I was like, honey, I'm pregnant. We need the bedroom. We need another bedroom, not the pool.
Yeah.
But, those are easy things, but I think it's more about what if they need more privacy, if they are insomniacs and it's a noisy location where they are now, and maybe that we can show them something that's quieter. That changes their whole. Good sleep is really good stuff.
Yeah, I figured that out when I had babies. I was like, sleep? Who needs sleep? I went to college and slept 2 hours a night, but I was a lot younger and didn't have the stress of babies, which they're not babies now. They're big. They're not that big. They're 7 and 9. So, but active listening, you talked about, hear them. I love what you said about, basically what I heard you say was, you got to read between the lines. They're going to say a lot of stuff, but and depending on the personality, what are they, of all that stuff they're saying, what are they saying? Make sure you're picking up on what really matters and having some empathy and put yourself in their shoes to be able to figure that out. And the other one is, what are they not saying? Or my favorite, I'm going to quote him, Chris Voss, here we go, Never Split the Difference, best book ever. Seriously, I was listening to it again in my car today, and I was like, seriously, I've listened to this book, read it 7 times, and still new stuff. But bringing it back to what we're talking about is sometimes there's something you don't know, and making sure you pull it out of them, and that you don't know that they don't know, or they don't know you need to know, and just keeping that line of communication open.
And I'll tell you, here's another example of my past. We mostly had actors and actresses, but I had an author who was a body language expert. And really, here we are.
Everybody who's listening, I was like watching my body language. What am I doing now? I'm closed off. Oh no. Anyway. So
today that was so interesting. She said to me, obviously pay attention. Sometimes you're just cold. But
and you don't know it. Yeah. I do that a lot, by the way, like just a minute ago, right?
But you gotta be conscious of, your body language, but more importantly, watching with whom you're speaking. And one thing she said to me is when people are talking, they'll tear up very, very slightly on things that are really important to them or something that is difficult for them. And if you can catch that, it's a little, notice it. Maybe something got in their eye, maybe they have allergies. So you have to be reasonable about it. But when somebody's closing off or they're opening up, sometimes that can give you a little clue also of what really matters. And that's part of the active listening. You've just really got to pay attention. You've got to ask finding questions. How do they feel about things? How did you find this? What do you think about it? And then pay attention to the answer and pay attention to how they're responding physically. And they may not even be aware that they're slightly tearing up, but that's when you start understanding and catching.
Well, it's actively listening and we all know this intuitively, but being conscious of it is more than what you're hearing. Watch for more than what you're hearing. And a lot of people are listening to themselves while the other person's talking. Stop and listen to them. And then I love that. You said, this is such a great one. I want to put it in a frame and put it on my wall in my office, is finding questions. Like when you're talking to people, how are they feeling and what are we finding for them? Finding how they're feeling. Because this is such an emotional business. It's so much different from the rest of real estate, commercial real estate.
Yes, it's a very emotional business. And I think a lot of people go into this industry and not understanding how emotional residential real estate can be for people. Sometimes it's a happy sale, sometimes it's not, but there's always emotion attached.
Exactly. There really is. And I always say the more logical people think they are, typically the more emotional they are in a process like this because they're not prepared for it.
They're pushing something away. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't even talk about this before the interview, but tell us a little bit about is it you and an assistant? Is it you and a team? Like what's your support staff system? How are you supported to be able to produce and sell so much real estate?
So when I moved over to Compass about 1.5 years ago, almost October is my anniversary, I came over with just a few agents from my previous brokerage who were on my team. And for years I've always mentored agents. And what I found was that after about a year, they say, thank you very much, and off they go. And when I was moving over to Compass, I really wanted to retool my team and restructure everything. So I've always had an assistant. I was very blessed to have an amazing assistant for many, many years. She had to stay with the previous brokerage because her father is the founder of the company.
Oh, wow. That was hard. Yeah.
It was incredible. So when I came to Compass, I thought to myself, I got a phone call from a great colleague who came over with me, and she said, there's someone in the Beverly Hills office that's trying to make her way back to Orange County. She lives in Orange County. She's already a Compass agent and an assistant. And with the good graces of her team, I interviewed her very quickly, but I knew instantly when I came to Compass, I needed someone who spoke Compass because I didn't speak Compass. I know the software, the platforms were very different as a brokerage. So that was one of my best things. She's a fantastic hire. So Janet is my right arm, my pit bull, she's just.
Pit bull. I love it.
We joke about it. She's wonderful, great personality.
Yeah.
So she really knows every inch of my business. She's my backup. She's at an inspection right now, waiting until we have the findings, and I'm going to race over there and be present for that.
Awesome.
But she was number one in addition to the agents that I brought with me. But what I do is I have a very different split system with my agents on my team. I built a team where I want geographic specialties and maybe a demographic specialty, like perhaps they speak a language that I don't speak, that can open doors to a new type of buyer that may not have been open to working with me previously. So I have geographic and demographic experts. The team, they do not compete with one another because they all work in different areas of the county.
Wow.
Orange County, as you probably know, is very large.
Yeah.
So we have different specialties where everyone works. We're very collaborative.
So it's easy if you get a lead that comes in, it's easy to know who it goes to and how it goes out.
Yeah. And I always promise, if it's my referral, they get Katie time. I am very hands-on.
Okay.
A little bit of we're all kind of control freaks, I think, to some extent.
Yes.
But I always bring someone in, even if it's Janet and I working a deal, then we are there, and I introduce them. And I always say 95% of the time, you're getting Katie. Sorry, you're stuck with me. But I want you to know Janet. I want you to know Caroline, who speaks Cantonese and Mandarin and English, and she's fabulous. And she really knows this market in Irvine, and that's where we're headed to buy you a house, whatever it is.
Right.
So it's comfortable. And I even bring them in on listing presentations. So they meet the team and then they scatter after 10 minutes. They've met the team, but I want them to know who's going to be promoting maybe their listing.
That's a great one. So for your listing presentation, we'll get to, I don't want to leave your team conversation yet, but just on that listing presentation to make sure we don't miss that. When you have your listing presentation appointment, whatever everybody has their name for it, but when you have that, the team arrives with you, so they meet the whole team, and then the team goes.
Not always, but key players. I've had as many as 7 of us in a room.
Wow.
We're up to 14 right now. Everyone's licensed, but I have 2 administrative assistants.
Okay.
And one of the agents on our team is fantastic at transaction coordination, so she runs her own book of business and is the team TC.
I don't know how you do that. That's amazing. That's awesome.
She's amazing. And just
that's amazing.
I like a team TC because they're a known factor that's part of the team that people are very, they're comfortable with that person.
That's great. So you've got a team, It's you and Janet, and you still do deals. You have your own deals that you do, and Janet is your right hand to do those deals.
Exactly.
And then
she touches all of my deals.
And then you have 12 more members, and of those 12 more members, you've got one person who's an agent and a transactional coordinator. And then the 11 other members are any of those admin, or are they all agents?
We have one more admin.
Okay, and she's full-time admin.
Yes.
Can you believe I just did that? I mean, like, millennials, do not crucify me, please. So horrible. So I mean, like, I'm from the South, forgive me. Isaac's over here laughing, encouraging me for all of the people that I'm offending. Anyway, what was that?
Now the South is mad at you.
Like, seriously, like, I can't do anything right, and we're not going to edit it because it would just be way too boring if we did. So everybody hate me or not hate me or whatever. So, but in the South, we all have a sense of humor. We know. But anyway, so you've got, I'm going to run through this because everybody has a million questions on how to do this, and they always want to understand. So 14 agents, there's you and your assistant. We've got 12 more of the 12 left. Of the 12 left, you have another admin, he, plus 11 more. Isaac's still laughing. 11 more. And
we added one yesterday. We're up to 15, sorry.
Okay, so 12 more, and of the 12 more are agents, and one of those agents also does transaction coordination.
That's correct. Yes.
So you've got your admin, she is your admin, I'm assuming,
Yes.
like she's your girl.
Yes,
And then your admin guy, he can just send me a hate mail too, no, I'm kidding. Anyway,
Sheldon, we'll call him.
what's his name?
Sheldon.
Sheldon? Or
Sheldon.
Sheldon. So Sheldon, what is he? He does admin, but what, does he do listing? Does he do?
Sheldon will post social media.
Okay.
He just went by.
Hi, Sheldon. Don't tell him. Don't let him listen to the show.
So he is there for I direct the workload, and I also have a sales manager on the team.
Okay.
So Sheldon will handle mail merges for letters if we're working on predictive analytic letters, or just there for just general admin duties that supports the team. He'll pick up signs. He goes around twice a week and works all the flyer boxes, make sure everybody's Windexed and their signs are beautiful and perfectly stocked. All the things that just take time out of an agent's day. So we're trying to keep the agents very, very focused on their
deals. Now, what about listings? Like when you get a listing, how do you handle that? Do the agents do their own admin work, like listing input?
Yes,
they do all. Okay, because they know the listing.
Help that help is available.
Okay.
Generally, they all do it and they know how to do it. But if they need the assistance, then that's where Sheldon and Janet come in. And Janet steps in, and she's oversees a lot of the marketing for us too. So we'll, if it's teams, Janet does team and Katie. So if it's team social media or team, website, anything, the quarterly updates that we do, we create certain marketing and direct mail programs and pieces, and that can all be customized. It's the beauty of Compass. It happens like that.
Yeah.
Janet can make sure that those pieces are pushed out and shared. Same with social media. We push it that can be shared and customized for the team. So if you don't have listings right now, you can certainly borrow team listings and push it out. We want to be promoting, we cross promote all the time. So we're getting into, we're on WeChat thanks to Caroline, who's on WeChat. I've never used WeChat in my life, but she's an expert at it. She's fantastic.
But she probably, Caroline, is she the team member that speaks Mandarin? Or
Yes.
Okay. And then, of course, I could get in trouble again for saying I'm kidding. I'm being so naughty. But it's my show, right? But no, WeChat is that's a great resource. I use that, but not enough. So, and then your transaction coordinator, does she do everybody's transactions?
It's if you want her to be. So as you know, at Compass, you have compliance or TC. So some people are good at it, and some people
Exactly. No, that's true, because you've got the option of just having Compass take on a little bit more for you and have your team member. Okay, that's awesome. So what can you tell us about how did you figure out, and we're going to go for about, do you have 5? You've got 5. Yeah, you've got at least 5, like maybe 10 more minutes.
Sure.
I love it because when the podcast airs and I say that, we try to stay close. And they're like, no, because the podcast has 20 more minutes. They're going to go for 20. Everybody knows. So anyway, when you set up your team, like how everybody has such a challenge, and I just find there is no formula, despite Millionaire Real Estate Agent and all these great books that have all their recommendations. I've never found like there's one way that's really best. So how did you figure out what is best for you? I mean, tell us, like, and how does it work? And whatever you can tell us about building a strong team and advice on that.
I think it took, it's a process. It took a decade to really figure out how to build a team that would have longevity and loyalty. Because I think real estate can be a very lonely business. Yes. And when agents are alone and working solo, I think that is really going by the wayside, where it's the decade of teams for sure. But to have a team where you never see, I always tell people in a listing presentation, you're going to meet that team lead maybe at the listing presentation, maybe a preview, and when you close. I call them HR. It's the first and last department you get to see. Right. But I didn't like that model. So it was really important to me to provide personalized service with the power of a team. That's our tagline. So
let's say that again. The tagline is personalized service with the power of a team. When I start using that, everybody's going to know where I go.
Shopping carts at a grocery store near you.
Really?
Yes. My favorite grocery checker asks if I'm going to sign autographs whenever I go through her line, because all the grocery carts have.
I love it.
Team.
Oh, that's awesome. So personalized service with the power of a team. Okay. Right. So to that, I love that. So you figured out your value, and a lot of it's built around what your values are and how you want to make sure your clients are taken care of. Would that be?
Right. Exactly.
It's like you create a team focused on the client experience.
Client-centric.
So give us a little more about how, because I stopped you a little bit there, how did that evolve and how did you figure it out, and does it work so well for you?
I really started with looking at how do I build a team where team members stick around? How do I get a higher caliber of agent that I'm really proud of, that I really want to, we always joke, you're never going to have that one person in the car that you grind your teeth, like, why are they here? Why are they here?
Yeah.
I have very, very diverse people on my team, and I like every single one of them. They're really good people. So that's important to me. Who would I want to refer, and who would I want to, as Robert Refkin says, who do you want when the dinner's over? Who do you want to linger over dinner and continue the conversation? And that's such a good litmus test. So I really looked at it and thought, okay, well, it's about money, frankly. And so I created a structure that is more generous, but it grows as they grow. So as they need less of my time and my sales manager's time, I hired a sales manager to handle a lot of the contractual questions, a lot of the technical questions, just a lot of the support, helping them build their business. He's fantastic.
So wait, is this your sales manager in Orange County for Compass, or is this your team sales manager?
My team sales manager.
See, we keep getting new team members. You didn't mention him before. This is why I do this, because everybody forgets all this stuff. So is he like kind of a business coach that comes in on contract?
Well, yes, but Jared is he's an agent on the team. He's 20 plus years experience in Orange County, coastal Orange County. A fantastic guy, really good guy, patient, very zen. And he is an extension of me, and so he can field the phone calls where, it gets to the point where I'm so in the weeds. If I were just answering phone calls and helping them, I never would take care of my clients. So I had to find a way where I could really take care of my clients. And so the majority of his time is spent coaching, helping them build their business, helping them be accountable, hit their numbers, and picking up the phone at 8:00 at night when they have a technical question. No one pushes out a contract if you have less than 6 years of business. No one sends out any documents without my eyes or his eyes scanning them quickly and proofing. So we maintain a level of professionalism that is just so important to me. There's the control freak part again.
Right. But you know what?
I promise.
I get accused of that. And then when I try to not be a control freak, I'm like, oh, this is why I was a control freak. Like there's a reason for that.
It's really not. It's your care and consideration.
Exactly. So I want to ask you, so Jared on the team, he's one of the 15 team members, and he's also an agent. So how is, and this is really like, it sounds like, but how is he, how do you know, like, how do you know he is the one? How did that evolve? Because he's still got to do business and consult agents. How did you know his wiring was built for that and yours wasn't? And what was the experience? Or I'm having some similar things going on in my team now in a good way. So I'd love to, what you can share about that. So how did you figure that part out?
I knew, and I'll give a shout out to Steve Schultz because I coached with him for a few months.
Hi, Steve Schultz. He loves Chris Voss too, by the way, as you know. Chris, Steve, I love him more. You get to see him more, but I love him more.
But I hired him to help me only with restructuring the team, and he was very, very helpful with that. And one of those things was the next level will be sales manager. So I don't coach with him any longer, but he really helped me with just a structure. And I'd been watching Jared. I knew him, but didn't know him well until he came to Compass, and watched him just, in the office and interacting and socially and watching what he did, and knew that it was a perfect point in his career for him to pivot into that role. So I would say the majority of his time is in a sales manager capacity, and then he still runs his real estate business, but his commitment, and I'm grateful for it, is really as the sales manager of the team and supporting all the agents. And he gets a piece of their business, and it doesn't cost them a dime. It comes out of my share. So that's it's a benefit I provide the agents.
That's awesome.
If they get people pitching in, we jump over, and if someone is ill, we've had all kinds of very serious illnesses, and we've been jumping in and helping when that happens. Or someone needs to go to Tahiti because it's time for a vacation. Here's the file. Jared, Katie, Janet, we've all got you. That's the benefit of being on a team. When I said real estate's a business, you need that support as an agent. You can't burn out, spin out, working 7 days a week, all hours. And people don't realize how hard it works. And that's the value that I can add and offer an agent on.
So about Jared, here's my question. I'm only thinking, like, people thinking about doing this, because I've talked to people, JC, John Zimmerman, he's awesome in Fort Worth, Texas. He came to Compass about 7 or 8 months ago. But he has someone like Jared, but they are not as consultative on day-to-day issues, but they're kind of this guy who calls from the outside, runs the team meetings, makes sure everybody's accountable, that kind of a role. So it's similar. But this is an interesting role to me. So my question is for people thinking about doing this is that when you have him in this role, the first thing that comes to mind is obviously he's got to be wired for it. He's talented for it. But on the flip side of that, you can do one deal and make a lot of money. So to be able to divert, which is I think what the problem most team leaders have, to divert that time from doing these individual deals to sidetrack to look out for the betterment of a team member's business, I'm sure you compensate, and whatever you're willing or feel comfortable in that he would or wouldn't, if you wouldn't, don't be comfortable with you sharing that you do to incentivize him to fulfill that role. But how do you know and find that and a lot of it may just be it's his wiring, not compensation, but at some point there's got to be the temptation to go after the bigger deal, and there's just not. Okay.
So for us, we literally sat down and did projections and said, with this, I have a very, very, very detailed team agreement that I use for every single agent that joins my team, and it's a roadmap. We pull it out and say, okay, it's this. I use a sliding scale. If they're new, everyone has basically the same agreement, but where they start differs according to their experience. And then it slides and it gets very generous as they become more successful and their production increases. And the other thing I do is it never resets. So it never resets in January.
Oh, wow.
They run their business, and when they hit their level, they hold their level and they keep going. And that's my secret sauce to keeping agents on the team, because once they've hit that percentage, you have the ability to finally be a 95-5 split.
Wow. Yeah.
And go. But guess what? I don't need to babysit and nurture and mentor and spend 4 hours a day on that. That agent is able to run their book of business and know that they can go to Tahiti on a vacation and be supported and have all kinds of marketing behind them and support and extra social media and all other things. So it's worth it to them.
And
to have
camaraderie, and you are who you're around, and then all of a sudden the value, they can't match it.
Right.
That's all. And for Jared, it sounds like it's a passion of his, and it's something that is what he likes to do, and that's what he's going to do, and that's what he's hired to do.
And it's worth it to me to peel off some of my profit and give it to him on every deal. So with you have 15, 20 agents producing, a little bit of everything is a nice cushion, and it's comfortable. So it works
it's the consistent income and kind of growing that motivates him. And it's also, and again, like some of the best people that run the best, most efficient teams and businesses will say, you got to be fair and compensate people and pay them well. But if you're paying them all, there comes a point where it's not all, it is money, but if they don't love what they do, or if they do love what they do, it makes all the difference in the world too. And they're wiring.
Yeah.
With that, I'm being a little repetitive, but
you have to be happy and make money. It's pretty simple. So they need to enjoy where they are.
So here's our remaining questions, because I know we're both getting short on time. A little bit about your listing presentation and about like 1 or 2 minutes, what that looks like. And then I'm going to ask you my final 3 questions of like your favorite book, your favorite tool, and the one thing. So that's it, guys. I'm going to stay on track now. So give us like a 60 second to 120 second. What's your listing presentation look like? How does it work? From the phone call to winning the deal, how does that go?
So phone call, schedule a listing presentation, do my research, know my numbers. I always suggest to help a seller buy back their house. If you're going to buy it today, think like a buyer. Let's get in their mindset.
Buy back your house.
How would you approach it right now if you were going to buy it? And it's really just so they can understand the mindset that will be coming at them. And we're ready for those questions, pricing, whatever it is. And then sit down. I do the complete Compass listing presentation. It's beautiful. It's very customized. We have all of our custom numbers in there. And as appropriate, I bring team members with me so they can meet who will be servicing the listing. And if someone is a specialist in that area, they're absolutely on that deal. And then we literally, obviously you want to see the house and go through that, but I think it's really important to just sit down and get to know each other and talk a little bit about what the approach is. I always say I'm wherever, whenever. You can call me anytime. You can text me. I will get back to you. Here's my team. If for some reason I can't, you're in good hands, and this is who I'm introducing. This is my work style, and I will do all of the marketing. I came from a marketing background. I'm a firm believer in all the tools in the toolbox. So I just go through it piece by piece and talk a lot about how we're going. You've got to have all the tools in the toolbox out and in use.
Yeah.
Don't know where your buyer is going to come from, but let's maximize your price by using all the tools. So that's usually my first.
And so you bring the team members, or as many of them
as appropriate. You always bring the team member who's specialized. So you might get, because the name or the relationship or the referral or whatever it is, you're going to be the agent, but you're always, if it's a deal that's in an area that you have an agent specializing in, do you co-list it? Do you just make them a part of the process, or how do you pull that agent on the team in? A lot of times if they're sourcing let's use Caroline as an example in Irvine. So it's in her neighborhood. She's going to be the lead.
Okay.
But I can go in and talk about my production and how we approach it as a team and the marketing and how and it's a collaborative effort, but it's Caroline's listing. I'm there to support.
Okay. But are there listings that your team members get and you don't come? Like they go do their own listing presentation?
A lot of times Jared will go if it's,
okay.
Sometimes that is just more appropriate. We just got a new listing.
But you never have a listing presentation without you or Jared present?
No, it happens.
Okay.
If they feel comfortable and they're ready for it, and it's not an issue.
And what if somebody calls you and says, I have a listing, I want to list my house and it's your client, your call, but you've got another agent. How do you do that?
If it's a past client of mine, I get a lot of referral and repeat business. They want me, and just like they would want any agent.
So how do you involve the team member in that area, or
if they have a value add?
Okay. Like if you need, I get it. So I get it. That just helps, I think, because everybody has so many questions. That really, really helps people understand how you're laying it up and how it works for you. Because sometimes
it's all about the client.
Yeah.
It's their choice.
Okay. So you've got to go, and I've got to go, but we're not going without 3 final questions. But we're going to get them knocked out. These are supposed to be like the quick final 3, whatever. Anyway, I love it. I came up with them every time.
I like it.
So number 1, best book you most highly recommend other than Never Split the Difference. I'm kidding. If that's the one, whatever. What is your book?
I don't know that I have one right now, to be honest. I'd have to think about that one. We'll have to get back to you on that one.
Awesome. And you named Steve Schultz, because I would name like mentor, business coach, anything like that if you don't have a book.
I'm sorry. I didn't
like a
hear
mentor, speaker, business coach.
Steve is great, and I've never been to a Tom Ferry summit. I'm not one up and down, but I will tell you, I think his coaching is exceptional. I think it's very tactical. If you don't pay for coaching, get on YouTube and start watching Tom Ferry. He's great.
Awesome.
It's a very different personality, and Steve is fantastic. My husband is an East Coast boy and loves sports, so Steve Shull is the end-all be-all, and he is a great, great coach. It's a very different flavor, but if I would say for a new agent just starting out, if you need some tactical, motivational, just information, Tom Ferry is, a good go-to as well.
Awesome. What is do you have a favorite CRM app or any other kind of resource and tool that you feel has been the biggest effect on your success and your business and your team?
I would say, honestly, the Compass Concierge Program is astounding. It's a way to really transform a listing. And that's a very Compass-centric answer, I know. But if it's what has done it, then it is. Yeah, that's awesome. Our platforms are so incredible that the CRM I use, Compass CRM, we're growing that, and it's improving every day.
They contactually love it. I think contactually, we already had a pretty cool program, but then when we merged contactually into it, it was like, it's all done. Yeah. Okay, last question. If there's one thing that you would have us, me, everybody listening, remember from our interview, and we were only going to remember one, what would that one thing be?
Get out of the loop. And if you watch my YouTube channel, you'll see something we do called 22 questions. It's 22 questions with different agents. It's a lot of fun we do.
Oh, how fun. Okay.
Really fun. But one of the comments was get out of the loop. Surround yourself with great people, experts, know who to call, and be a resource for your clients, be a resource in your neighborhoods, and just surround yourself with really good people that can serve you well and represent you well, because you can't do it all. You think you can, but you can't. So go find the experts and do right by your clients.
That's awesome. And that'd be a great close, but you have to elaborate for me, and maybe every other listener knows what this means. But when you say the loop, what is the loop?
Oh, thank you. When lending, don't sit there and start trying to figure out what the monthly mortgage is going to be on a property that you're standing in. Say, I have a great lender. Let me refer you. I have 3 that I'd recommend. Here's why. And get out of that loop. Send them to
get out of your own way a little bit. Yeah.
Because
get
you're
out of the
just
loop of trying to do and be everything when there are a lot bigger, better, smarter people around you that are going to be exponentially productive for you and your clients.
Yeah. Know who to refer. Stay in your lane. Do what you do best.
Well, I like it. You were right. You've got I have so many. I'm going to the book of quotes by Katie Machoskie in Orange County because they're so much fun. Thank you so much for being on the show.